right, want to welcome everyone to another episode of the Speedway Pulse Media podcast. We got a really special guest on today, a young driver that's really making waves in both the karting world and he's making his series or his season debut here in Toyota GR Cup. Nathan Dubois. Nathan, a lot's changed since we last met at Roland Road back in February, but kind of give us a rundown of what's been going on since then.
Well, a lot, a lot. Um, we've done well in the GR Cup now. Like we're running somewhere in between top 10 and top 15. Um, from then, obviously, you saw I wasn't top tier. Well, I'm still not top tier, but um, in the when I started in at Roebling, it was my first time in a car ever. Is when we met, and I went from there straight to Arlington, and then we raced at Arlington, and now we're here.
It's been a kind of a whirlwind of stuff, kind of getting thrown to the wolves a little bit. But, let's take a step back and we'll come back and talk about the season though. But for you, we all start from somewhere in our racing career, but when did it start for you?
It started for me back in 2020, so like just before COVID-19 started. Um, and it was because my parents' friends were at a Christmas party, and their son was there, and I was there. And they're like, "Hey, we have this go kart at in our garage. You wanna look at it?" Like, because they raced go karts,
Mhm.
and we went to their house after the Christmas party. We were like, "Wow, that thing's pretty cool." So, and my parents were like, "You want to try it?" I'm like, "Yeah," because before I did soccer and baseball, and I didn't really like it that much. So I saw the go kart, and I'm like, "That looks pretty cool." And at the time, like I loved cars, I loved all that stuff. I still do. And so like I think a week later, maybe give or take, we went stateside and we went to Kart in Michigan, and we were doing really well. We spent basically the whole day there, and at the end of the day, after we just had a few sessions, my parents were like, "Is this something that you think you can do?" I was like, "Yeah, I think I can absolutely do this." So we bought a cart. I think either the same day or like the next day. We bought a cart, and I was 9 years old at the time, and I'm supposed to be in cadet, and they made cadet chassis, small chassis, but I was sold a full size chassis
How about
for
that?
cadet. So going into my first race, I was 40 pounds over because of the chassis, and then it was just way wider than everybody else's, so it was just not as quick. And then we did well, that was at Point Peely karting, and I got lapped like probably twice in that race. And it's not a very big track. It's like a 30-second track. So it's whatever. And then we went to Goodwood, which is up in the GTA area. And Dan DeLeo and Marco DeLeo were like, "How are you racing 40 pounds over in cadet? You're going junior light." So okay. Like my second or third race in a go-kart were in junior light in Toronto. Um so we do that, we try that. And I actually I don't know where I ended up. But I know turn 4 at Goodwood was my nemesis because I just kept driving off the track, and my parents were like, "Why do you keep driving off the track there? It's like you can't see." I'm like, I don't know." So, not knowing anything about like karting or anything, so we didn't know that. Just we didn't know stuff. So my helmet was too small. My helmet was sitting like this, so
Oh
I could like
wow.
just like barely see over. So we got rid of that helmet that same weekend, and then we got a different helmet, went back out, and I miraculously stayed on the track in turn four. So that was pretty funny. And then we did the whole season. In Peely, I came second in junior light, missing the first round. I came second my first season there in the championship. Won a few races, and then we were still doing the like the kart star stuff. So that's
Mhm.
kind of like that's like the USPKS
Yeah,
of the states, but it stays in Ontario. It doesn't go all over the country. It stays in Ontario, and I think I came top 10 in that. I think, but that's like everybody coming from all over Ontario, sometimes Quebec, to race in that series. So top
you had
10 for my first year in that series is like really good.
some top guys racing in that series, I can imagine.
Yeah, we had I forget who we had at the time. I'm that's 6 years ago now.
Yeah,
Like that's a long time ago.
that's a long,
Man,
yeah.
it's been 6 years. Wow. Okay.
You know, coming from Canada, to the US kart scene, that's where I'm so familiar with, where I cut my teeth in it. You would see, some of these SCUSA events, you got people flying in from Europe and coming in. How big of a step was that coming from, the Canadian kart scene to the American kart scene? Because some of these guys over here in America, they take it seriously that, these kart events for them are, bigger than some of the car races that you race in.
Yes, for one like a million percent. It was just like way different. It opened our eyes so much of how competitive karting really is. Like so before we went to the US, I went into two stroke in the Canadian side, and I won both. I won Kart Stars Championship and the Goodwood Track Championship in VLR Junior. So I was feeling confident. I was like, yeah, maybe we'll be like top 15, top 15, top 20. I was not top 15. I was like almost last. I was like, wow, this is way different, way more competitive. And like um we were looking like cuz that was like Ernesto Rivera era.
Yeah.
That's when like there was 5 RPGs in the top 5 for every every class basically. So it was like I don't want to say it was a rude awakening, but it was an awakening for sure.
It was a real eye opener for you.
Yeah, it crazy levels of racing there.
Coming from that side of it, did it make you want to expand and go, you know the sense of what it's like racing in multiple countries, but did that want to give you the feel of trying to maybe do like they're doing and go over to their, countries in Europe and race some of their karts because, you come to America and race karts, but you think that's hard, but over there, they take it to a really extreme.
Yeah, I did want to, but I we only ended up going once, and that was because I won a ticket for the Rotax Grand Finals, and I mean the levels there's, and I thought the U.S. was eye opening. Over there, it's a whole another world. It's There's so many people there. Like the tolerances or the tolerances, the gaps between drivers are is like less than half a tenth. It's insane.
And the amount of, karting already is, a high dollar sport, but over there, they, the money, the budgets those teams are putting in it, you could over here, fund a whole probably close to maybe an SRO, in GR Cup, I would imagine, close to it.
Oh yeah, last year for karting we spent because I ran every race I could last year, and I was going for championships, USPKS, SCUSA, CKNA, Florida Winter Tour. And like we did every race we possibly could. I even did some West Coast stuff. I did like the California stuff. I did challenge something. I think. Um I think we spent probably about the same, if not more, than GR Cup
Wow.
for one season.
That really puts it into perspective for people.
Karting is insane, and especially when you go to Vegas
Super
for
Nats.
Supernats and Rock the Rio.
Yeah.
It's like I think RPG they charge 20 grand a, for one cart.
Wow.
And then for two, I think it's half of that. So if you
Yeah.
run double duty, it's $30,000. Which I might be blowing that out of proportion, but I think I'm
That's
not far off.
that sounds about from what I heard from people around that number is about right.
Yeah,
And
that's for a go-kart race?
that's a lot.
That's a lot. And just think a a GR Cup weekend, I think flat rate for almost every team is about what, 40?
That's about
I
right.
think 40, not including like extra tires,
Mhm.
brake pads, like if
Yeah.
you crash or like stuff like that.
It's around that number 40.
Yeah.
You know,
Racing's not cheap, folks.
no, that's the thing I learned in it, that racing you gotta have, you either gotta have some money in your pocket or you gotta have some really good sponsors behind you.
Exactly. Like that I'm trying to get some sponsors because it's yeah.
It's not the easiest sport to go into if, not a lot of funding behind you. It's not like,
No.
like you talked about, soccer or baseball or something where, you know, while on paper, yeah, it does cost lots. You gotta buy, cleats and, all that stuff, but it does not, even come into the realm of whether you want to go to the top levels like you're wanting to, or even just, a club event like where you made your first car start at this year, the money,
Yeah.
and it's only getting higher. You look at
Yeah.
it,
It's only going up.
yeah,
Like karting should not cost the same as cars.
exactly.
Not like it shouldn't be even close. I think and F1 drivers have been making this statement, Max and Lewis, they're like it's $10,000 to run one mini weekend in Europe.
Europe, yeah.
Like it's insane.
you know, this year when you made that jump to cars, did you've only been racing karts, 5 years coming into this year, 2026. Did you feel that you were ready to make that jump? What was, kind of the preparation? And, you're with Copeland Motorsports, a team that's, got a really rich history, you know, and tell us kind of how that came about getting connected with the Copeland team.
So the reason why I felt ready for cars is more so because my size.
Mhm.
I'm 6 feet tall. Like
Yeah.
I'm not a small guy. And people were telling us in the past, they were like, if you're in carts past 15 or past 14, you're wasting your time. You should go to cars in that 14 to 15-year-old range and then excel from there. And that's what we did, and it seems have to be the right choice. So, and yeah, I mean, and the reason I went, or the reason I reached out to Copeland Motorsports and a bunch of other teams was Mike Mariani.
Hmm.
He said the best teams right now are Copeland and BSI. So
100%.
I sent an email to both of them. BSI didn't get back to me. Copeland got back to me literally the next day. So I'm like, okay, going with Copeland. And he's like, we're just gonna need this, 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 this. You're gonna need to get this helmet. And I actually had bought so a little step back. Almost every year at Supernats, I get a new helmet. Cause Lucky Design, they have the pre-painted and they're a little
Yeah.
cheaper than custom. And like 2 years in a row, they've had helmets that I've liked. I think actually last year I didn't get a new helmet, or not last year, the year before last I didn't get a new helmet because they didn't have what I wanted. But this year they did, and it was a car helmet. That's the helmet I've been wearing now, the purple and
Mhm.
the neon.
Yeah. I like that. It pops out. That's a really cool
Oh
one.
yeah. I think I have the best helmet on the grid,
Oh,
personally.
I would agree with you there. That's
Yeah.
a that's a really cool one right there. And being a part of the Copeland team, kind of take me into what it's like there. I know what they're like through IMSA, and this was my first time being at a GR Cup event at Road Atlanta. So, seeing how the teams work and all, but it seems like it's a really great environment to be in. You've got some really great drivers. You got Jeremy Fletcher, who's been with you kind of, since the beginning of your car
Yeah.
career. You got Nico Colby, some really good names, that got a lot of talent. I think they're going to be around and, kind of take me into what it's like just being a part of Copeland.
Well, it's a balance between strict and fun.
Mm, yeah.
Like everything has to be balance between strict and fun, serious and fun. Um, Dean texts us either the night before we get to the tent or like the day before we get to the tent. They're like, okay, tomorrow we want you at the tent at this time, and if you're late, you got to do push-ups or something. And for him, on time is late. So if he says 8 o'clock and you show up at 8 o'clock, you're late. Push-ups. If you showed up at 7:55, you're fine. So that's fun there. My car chief and all the other car chiefs, they get along. Like everybody under the tent gets along. Like it's like a big family. It's like a really big family under the tent with Dean Copeland, and his son came to Atlanta that race too, and he's a nice little kid. Um, it's just awesome there. And then, like you said, Jeremy and Nico, they're there too. We have uh, Peyton, we have Jay and Beltray, and then myself, and we all get along. Like we're all in the trailer. We're just like talking about how our session went, talking about this, um, talking about like what we want to do in the future, like
Yeah.
what we want to go. Like I'm open to anything as long as I can get behind the wheel. I'm happy. Right now, I have my eyes more set on NASCAR
Okay.
than anything because I that's I like NASCAR. Like my
Yeah.
mom and my grandma have been huge NASCAR fans forever, for as long as I can remember. They were Earnhardt fans, and like they're Dale Jr. or Dale Earnhardt all the way.
Well, you got a good
And
connection in the paddock. Carl Edwards' son, that's a competitor of yours. So, that's
hmm
a really great avenue right there. I don't know if you've gotten to talk to him yet though, but that's someone, I would reach out to because, look what he did his time in NASCAR. He could probably get you in touch with just about anybody you want.
yeah, actually, it's funny you bring that up. So my dad at Coda and Carl Edwards, they were up in the big tower.
Tower. Yeah.
They were just talking this and that, and I have an outdoors page, uh social media. Like I love the outdoors. I love hunting, fishing, all that good stuff. And my dad just was like, "Yeah, we might go hunting here, yada yada yada." And Mr. Edwards goes, "You want to hunt on my property?" And he lives in Missouri,
Oh, how
and
about that?
the deer in Missouri are
That's
are
some,
pretty
that's some,
dang big there.
yeah, that's some big boys right there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But that's,
So
building the connections, that's the good thing about this, about this sport that, so many people, I wouldn't really thought that of you. I remember we were, on the Saturday social, we were talking, talking about NASCAR and all, but I figured, so many people get in a road race and you would see them want to, stay in SRO and go up to GT3, IMSA, go all over the world racing, these great series. But that's really cool that, you know, I think NASCAR is trying to, really build more fans now because I think, NASCAR's been on a downslope and stuff like IMSA, GT World Challenge, and that stuff has been on a upswing. And even I think you can really tell from being at the or the Arlington race, being a support race to IndyCar, how many people want to be in IndyCar or just go watch it.
there, the fan signing, like the signing at Arlington. I think it was scheduled to be like 45 minutes long. I think it took like an hour and a half.
Wow.
It was, we're like, there are so many people here. Like, we had literally had to run. Good thing at Arlington that it was like the signing and our trailer was like 50 yards away. So, like, it was insane how many people were there. They were literally like the SRO employees. They were like, okay, you guys have been here for like like an hour and a half. We're kicking you out. Like they weren't kicking the fans out. They were kicking the drivers out of the siding. It was hilarious.
Talk about what that was like, getting to be a part of your first race weekend at a track, a track that was new for everyone and a street course at that, there's no room for error on one of those. Talk about how that was, your first weekend into an actual race weekend was.
I mean, the race weekend went well for me. Other than I think it was the first race. I just got hit in the rear a little bit coming out of I forget the corners, but the right the right before the right going onto the long back straight.
Okay.
I just got tagged on in there. I got spun around in the race, but that was my first race. I was up to 11th, and
Yeah.
like barrier races in karting, that definitely helps you for barrier races in or street races in cars because if you think about it, the barriers are like taller,
Hmm.
taller if not the same height as you and the cart.
Yeah,
And they're pretty heavy. Sometimes they fill them full of water just so they slow you down a little bit more, but that means when you slow them down a little bit more, you hit harder.
exactly.
And Dean Copeland, when he's like when he heard that I did supernats and I did all like I've done supernats for a few years. He's like, "Oh, so you're used to barrier races. That's perfect. Usually the guys that come from karting in barrier tracks, when they go to street courses, they do fine." And I did fine. So I was hoping though, because when I saw on the TV, because um what we do, like what my parents and I do after every race, after we get home or after we get to the hotel or the Airbnb, what we'll do, we'll turn on the TV and we'll rewatch my race. So we're like, see what this guy did, you should have done this, or see what the leaders are doing, do this. So it's like uh more of a educational and like, oh look what I did, that's funny. Like it's it's
A
nice.
good way to, learn off of what your competitors are doing and see, where they're making up time or, where you're losing time to them at. So there's so much by just sitting and watching that you can really learn.
Yeah, exactly. Like after every weekend or after every day, um at the track, John Dean is our driver coach, and we have like flash drives like about that big, and he'll plug them into the computer. He'll throw all our video on there. He's like, "Okay, I want you to watch this and this, and I want you to watch." And sometimes he'll put Jeremy's video on there. So he'll be like, "Okay, I want you to watch this on you." And then watch the same thing on Jeremy and take notes what he's doing and then come back to me in the morning and see what you learned and see what you think you can do to do what he's doing. And we'll do that. And sometimes he'll just give it to us and he's like, "You're fine there. You can watch it if you want. Like you're pretty close. It's just like little bits everywhere."
As we approach, 3 rounds left in the season, we're, well into halfway. Road America's just at the end of August, and then we got Barber in Indianapolis. But let's step back and, think back to February from this, when you first got into the car, how more comfortable do you feel since, the first time stepping into the car to now? Obviously, it looks like from the first weekend, obviously you were going to be a little, nervous about it, not really sure how it was going to go, but every weekend and especially, as we get in now, you look a lot more comfortable in the car and I see you making a lot more moves and trying to stick your nose out and really, try and make a move that most people wouldn't try and make right now.
Yeah, I mean, from the first weekend in the car, I was shaking life like a leaf. Just standing next to the car, being like, "Oh my God, I gotta drive this in 20 minutes." And then getting in the car, like butterflies and everything. All of that is completely gone. Like for me, I've been known in terms like to adapt to stuff a lot, like in the karting world. Like say I get crashed in on a start, like get a bent tire, I'll get a bent axle, something like that. I'll finish the whole race, and I'll be like 3 or 4 tenths slower than my best lap, but with not as good equipment because something's bent. And the one year I remember Tom Buckley, when I was on Speed Concepts, I got crashed in turn one, and he said to my dad, why didn't you pull him in? He's in last. Like, why don't you pull him in? My dad was like, he's doing fine. He's driving. He's coming along. He's catching up to some of the guys. Just relax, right? And I had a Ben Axel, and he's like, you should pull him off. He's gonna chip his teeth. I'm like, I'm not gonna chip my teeth. Um, and funny enough, or not funny enough, but it worked out that a few people crashed on the last lap, and I was able to gain some
This
positions,
is
so I didn't have to go into the LCQ.
exactly.
So it just shows to like not give up, and every position, like no matter how big or how small, it matters.
But
It
yeah,
counts. So that was like a big thing. And then I think a few months later, actually, Tom became my mechanic, and he's like, I actually like the way you do things. It's pretty smart. So yeah.
you know, Road Atlanta, the last round, that's one of the that's a very high demand, that's a demanding course. That's where you got your first, I would say, like on track points. Some earlier in the year, I can't remember, was it Coda that you got them just because somebody had got track limit? I can't remember which one.
No, it was Sonoma.
Sonoma, that's right.
I think someone got a penalty for like racing room, or like they did a bump and
But
run, something
it
like
was,
that.
yeah, something like that. And so you ended up getting points though, but Road Atlanta was your first on track points weekend. How big was a swing of momentum for you was that to get those on track points? And with 3 rounds left, like we talked about, does that give you a lot of momentum to carry into finish out the year on a really high note?
Oh, for sure. It gives me so like after that I felt so much more confident, and I felt like even though we had that yellow, if that would have stayed green, or if it would have gone green, like again, instead of being yellow and then it raining, I felt like I probably could have been close to top five because
Yeah,
I had so much more momentum. Like my restarts at Atlanta were on point. Like
they
I was
were.
getting 1 or 2 spots like almost after every restart. And then it was like every restart, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this guy, and I'm gonna get this guy, and then it's like, okay, yellow flag. Okay, I drive around for a few laps. Okay, go again. Get this guy, and then I was going up. But like the crazy thing was, I didn't qualify too well on the Saturday, or yeah, the
Yeah.
Saturday. I didn't qualify too well. I qualified like 20th or something. I was like, dang, just couldn't get a lap together. Like there's Sonoma because the start finish or the
Alternate.
qualifying, the alternate start finish is in the middle of the back straight or
Hmm.
close towards the end of the back straight.
Yeah.
And you need so much momentum out of seven to get a good run.
Um,
Set up the lap. It's like people kept slowing down in between 5 and 6, and they would screw up your gap because obviously you want to draft. So you're like, okay, I'm going to draft off this person. And then they slow down to try to get behind you. So it's like, oh. And then I think this Saturday as well, um, in between 6 and 7, like 5 cars were just like going at a crawl's pace. Like there were 2 cars on this side, there were 3 cars on this side, there was a gap in the middle. So we went through the middle, and
mhm.
then I almost got driven off the track because one of the guys cut me off. It was like, ugh.
Road Atlanta was
Like,
a real, kind of. It was hard to get a good, momentum into both races. It was real start and stop, and
mm-hmm.
then the race ended what on Sunday, what about 10 minutes early or so because of the rain.
Well, yeah, it ended because I think we went to yellow like with 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
And then, because they're like, and we went around for probably almost all of the 15 minutes. Because it was like, they went off, okay, yellow. And I was like looking at my gauge, because I was looking at my gauge because um, I, I, I'm good at math. I can do math in my head pretty well. Um, and at the beginning of the yellow flag, I'll talk to my car chief. I'll be like, hey, how much time's left? What position are we? And he's like, you're this position, there's this much time left. I know there's 60 seconds in a minute, so everybody knows that. So, and we were averaging about 2 minute 30 behind the safety car per lap. So I was like, okay, we got 15 minutes left. We'll be about 7.5 laps, give or take. Um, and then it started drizzling, then it went away, then it started raining, and then it went away, and then it started downpouring. And I remember everybody was like driving a boat, just and it was still under yellow, and and it was like, how are we pushing this much going 20 kilometers an hour? It is crazy.
I remember looking, I was at turn six and looking at them, or seven, excuse me, going down the back straightaway, and you couldn't see nothing. It was just, it was a very hot weekend, so just that moisture coming off the pavement was just making this, and then when y'all were going, y'all were still on behind the safety car at what, 70, how fast were y'all? 50,
We
60?
were like behind the safety car, like when it was dry, I think we were doing like 70, I think probably about 70.
Yeah, that's what I.
Once it started raining, the safety car stayed the same pace, but we slowed down to like 30 or 40 just because of the turn 10. Going down turn 10,
Yeah,
I almost drove off the track on the in lap. It was just because it was like, okay, there's grip here this lap, next lap, no grip.
yeah,
Like it was insane. And we had slicks on.
yeah,
And
that's what really made it hard too.
and everybody runs no traction control because it's faster. So in the wet with slicks, no traction control, you're spinning wheels going up the hill and ugh. And your ABS is like at like almost the lowest setting it can go without being off. And you're just locking up, going in the corner at the same time. Like even though you're going slow, still locking up. You're almost hydroplaning. It's
It was, it was really blind. You were just really having to, if something happened, it was gonna be a last second decision, to slam on brakes. And
yeah,
I remember y'all came back around. I think the safety car had pitted, and a lot of the people stayed out because they couldn't see.
exactly. Like my car chief and my spotter were going like, okay, Trekkerd, you're coming in this lap. I'm like, okay, cool. It was Trekkerd. We went around, and there's stuff blowing across the track. Like there's branches and leaves going across the back straight. It was crazy. Like just I thought one of the branches because there was like an overhanging because there's kind of like an overhanging tree like
Yeah.
after seven, and that thing was going like this pretty good. I'm like, if that thing falls, that thing's gonna partially land on the track. And I was like, I just want to get in front of this tree as fast as I can, just in case if that thing does fall. And we're coming down 10, and we're coming up the hill, going down to where we would pit. And then my spotter is like, okay, like pit, come to the box. I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, I don't see anybody else in front of me going in the box. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna stay out just in case, because like I worked up to P8. I don't want to lose it just because I came in a lap early. And then I see the safety car. I'm like, the safety car still has its lights on. And what I learned at the school, if the safety car still has its lights on and it goes to McDonald's, you follow it to McDonald's. That's the analogy that they used. I'm like, okay, that's fine with me. I like McDonald's. Um, so and then I'm like, oh, okay, this is weird. We're going around again. Safety car comes back out in front. We're like, okay, this time we're coming to the pit. We came to the pit, everything. And when we came to the pit, I was wet.
It was
Like,
it
and we weren't even going that fast. There was like, and I stayed a decent gap in front of the cars in front of me so I wouldn't get any spray, but it was just the wind was throwing the water inside the car.
it was, I think there was probably 30-mile-an-hour gusts, and
Oh, at least. And
and
my dad, also has access to my radio, so he'll talk to me. So he'll be like my second spotter.
Yeah.
So I got like two spotters on the track. And so he was like, the winds are looking pretty bad. It's starting to drizzle over in turn seven because he was sitting in like the gap in between turn seven and turn six.
Okay.
So he was sitting kind of like in between there. It's like it's raining down here. Be careful when you come out here. And then it was because it was under yellow. He was like, just make sure you're not doing anything you're not supposed to. And he's like, there's tents blowing around over here. Just watch out for a tent if there's a tent flying across the track. I'm like, okay,
You
we
know,
can.
anything could have happened at that point.
Oh yeah, because I've been in like two or three tornadoes now at racetracks,
Wow.
at go-kart tracks, and you've seen like the big like speed concepts tents, like the
Yeah.
RPG tents, stuff like that, right? So we were at Goodwood, and there's they have their own tent like that, and we're getting like high wind warning. So we're like, okay, just make sure the water barrels are filled and the straps are tight, everything's hooked down, right? So we're like, okay, we should be fine. And then it's like tornado warning. We're like, oh, tornado warning. That's weird. Skies are clear. Whatever. We didn't think anything of it. 5 minutes later, just just the thing comes through and it picks up. And this tent's like 80 feet long because
Yeah,
we've
there's
got
one of
both
them, you know,
40 by
big
20
tents.
foot tents.
Yeah.
We've got both 40 by 20 foot tents and they're attached. So it's an 80 by 20 basically flying box or not box. It's a flying thing that could take you out, right? So it starts lifting up and down even though it's still attached to the water barrels and everything. And my dad was holding on to the posts because like there's probably about I don't know 40 carts under that tent. So there's at least because you assuming there's a parent, one at least one parent, and maybe if they're the mechanic and the driver. So you're thinking at least 80 people, maybe if both parents are there and they hire a mechanic, up to whatever
Yeah, it could be
number that is, like 100 and something people, right?
yeah, a good amount of people there.
Yeah. And my dad at the time, because he was like really big into like I don't want to say bodybuilding, I'd say more like strongman
Yeah.
competitions.
Okay.
But he didn't compete, but like that's what his like motivation was, just to get like as big as
Miss-
possible. And he was pretty big. He was like 260, but 260 lean. Like
Yeah.
260 like 20 to 15% body fat, maybe a little lower. Like it he was a big guy. He was a
Built guy.
really big
Yeah.
guy. And they said at one point his feet were 8 feet off the ground.
Wow.
And then it came back down and everybody's like, let go, let go. And before like it started raining before the tornado came in and I was on grid and we had slicks on. We're like, okay, change the tires, get the cart on the ground, right? We're changing the tires, change the tires. All of a sudden this one guy's like, we got 15 minutes, come back to the tent to change the tires, change the setup and whatnot. We're like, okay, yeah, rather than get everything all wet, gives me time to put my wetsuit on. If he would have not have said that, I would not be talking to you right now.
Really?
Because the grid at carts or the grid at Goodwood, there were like three or four big oak trees.
Mhm.
Like these things were, it was like middle spring, middle summer. These things were as green as could be. You're like, these things ain't coming down for nothing, right? Those things were laying across the grid where we were standing
Wow.
like it was nothing. They were uprooted, everything. And then after everything died down, um, we found out that my dad got hit in the head with a post, with
Wow.
like a tent post, like the like the corner post, and then they have
Yeah.
the feet on the bottom.
Uh-huh.
My dad got hit like
Ooh,
this,
damn.
and my mom was standing behind him, and it actually chopped the top of her ear off.
Wow.
So she had to get that stitch back on. And for karting, only like my last few months I switched, but I was like big Bengio guy for
Mhm.
rib protectors. For literally for one reason, because it probably saved me from having a few cracked ribs
Oops,
or
yeah.
broken ribs. Because there was a tent, like a free tent post. I don't know how it got free or whatnot. It was just blowing like, and it hit me right in the ribs,
Good.
right where my rib protector was. And there was like a chunk taken out of my rib protector.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, I know what I'm using from now on. And we were staying in the RV there. And the next day, I kind of had a little bit. I was a little stressed. I was like, I don't like this. There's still clouds in the sky. I don't like this very much. So, and this is like the racing was done. Racing was done. Like fences were gone. Like we're like, okay, we're canceling the weekend. I woke up the next day. I put on a shirt. I put on my rib protector, and I put on a sweater. And I was just walking around like nothing was happening. But I had my rib protector on. I'm like, if something happens, I got this thing on. So that was pretty funny. And yeah, so
It's amazing how that stuff changes, having to go change, the way you drive and, change the setup on carts and cars, when the weather changes like that. And
yeah.
y'all ran 45-minute races in, GT or GR Cup and there's no, allocated pit time. It's not like it's a, hour race like the GT3 or GT4 run where they have to, go make a pit stop. So, you got to really, time it right if or be able to, watch and see what's going to happen because it can change in an instant. Like,
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know this particular rule. I don't know if you're allowed to come in. I don't think you're allowed to come in and change your tires for rains before they say you can. Can you?
I don't think, yeah, I think the race director or race control has to, declare the track wet. And then I think
Yeah.
that's kind of goes with all the series or, IMSA, NASCAR, any of the major series like that. Because, if you're out there on slicks or on, excuse me, rain tires and it's still slick, there's no, you got zero grip. I can, be real, really bad, put people in a bad situation. But then once, it starts drying, then it's your choice whether, you want to go in to put slicks on or, continue running on the wets.
Yeah. Like I remember I think it was like Silverstone last year or 2 years ago, McLaren and all that were going back and forth for wets or slicks. Like, no, it's slicks, no, it's wets or like all that stuff.
As we look towards, 3 rounds left, you know, we still got a little while for Road America, and do you got some testing, planned ahead of that to get, acclimated with the track? I sure you do a lot of sim time to try and, prepare when you can't do testing.
Yeah, well, right now I'm not on the sim much because I'm in the process of swapping everything over on my sim. I got a new Moses setup, and then I got a Fanatec frame.
Okay.
The GT Club Sport frame. It's a really nice frame. It's
Yeah.
not too big, it's not too small. It's nice size. But on the box, it says box one of two. So I was thinking, oh, because I ordered a shifter arm too. It's like, oh, it's this is one, this is two, the shifter arm, right? I open up the box to get everything out. I'm like, this is weird. I'm missing some parts here. I go back, I look like because they have a QR code I scan. I look, I'm like, I'm missing some pedal plates. I'm missing the monitor plate and everything. I'm like, what the heck? So I email the uh I guess retailer
Mhm.
that I got the frame from, and they're like, we'll look in our warehouse. I'm like, okay, that's great. And then I hear nothing. And then I emailed them, I think yesterday, midday, about probably about this time yesterday. And I'm like, hey, any progress so far? Yeah, it'll be here in like in 1 to 2 business days, or like 2 to 3 business days, something like that. So that it might be here Friday, or it might be here Monday. And I'm like, okay, thank you. But then I'm thinking, I'm like, why wouldn't they like let me know so I didn't have to email this? Whatever. Customer service, which is actually what I'm doing. I'm actually at work right now. I'm
Yeah,
at
that's
work. I'm sitting in the boardroom.
what
It's probably about it is 81 degrees in here. I'm sweating.
that's
It
what,
is 81 degrees in this boardroom.
I live, Roebling was when I met you, that's 45 minutes from my house. And around here, it's been heat index into triple digits. It feels like, one on last week. There was days that felt like 110. They said, and it's just like wow,
I think we had one day last week or 2 weeks ago, it felt like 107. I
that's
was
normal
like,
around here for us. I know that's y'all are used to. Y'all have a lot more cold weather. It's like cooler up there than it is, Canada. And
yeah.
it's days like here, it's just like the heat it'll, it's no joke around here. You know, I saw, I don't know if you'd like to, make it, tell everyone about it though, but over the week you signed a sponsor for Road America and it's a pretty big sponsor. You want to, kind of give us a little insight on, who it is on your hood for Road America coming up?
Yeah, KCN campgrounds. So they own multiple campgrounds across America. And like so my dad's like, we try to get like a sponsor, like a KOA sponsor or some just anyone who wants to sponsor you, right? So like I'll make a few videos, I'll review the campgrounds that we stop at. Like we stop at the KOAs a lot. KOAs are probably our favorite because you can be like, oh, you have this? Okay, cool. Like, and you can make a reservation and you can show up like an hour later. And that one was really nice. The Sweetwater KOA in Sweetwater, Tennessee. That one was really nice. And then um, I think the day after or 2 days after I made the video, they reached out. They're like, "Hey, we really like the video that you make. Can we sponsor you?" We're like, "Yeah, for sure." And
Awesome.
then they sent me some merch too. I got that in the mail. I made a video on that, and yeah, I mean it's been good so far. So that's my first sponsor that's not my parents, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's gonna be cool, at Road America. That's America's they call it National Park of Speed. That's an awesome track. And so I mean that's gonna be really cool to have KOA on there. And KOA's had a lot of success sponsoring. I mean, they sponsor we'll throw him out there, Connor Zilic in NASCAR, and look what
Yeah,
he's been able to
junior
do.
motorsports. Yeah,
Yeah. That's so, KOA's got, they know what they're doing on that side. And I think that's great. They're wanting to invest, in someone like you, who's you're 15 and building, trying to build your racing career. And so that's really cool there. But Nathan, we'll end it with this. The season's been going really well, really well. Obviously, as a rookie, your highs and lows are gonna be different than a lot of your competitors that have been in the series before. For next year, in a return, what would be the ultimate goal? Contending for top fives and podiums? Or, is the champion, I guess, wins and championships? Do you feel that what you've learned this year, you're going to be confident you can take into next season with GR Cup?
I think next year. Call me delusional. I think I could be in the running for the championship next year. Call me delusional, but I think I can do it. I have enough confidence in myself that definitely top 10. Like let's say every race goes not according to plan. I think definitely at least top 10. I think if some go good, some go bad. I think top five, and then if they all go good, I think we'll be top three for sure. Top three, maybe even championship winner. So yeah. Well, and depending on how everything goes between sponsors and whatnot, we'll see.
You know,
So
we talked about just a little bit ago, but NASCAR's kind of your ultimate goal. In between that, you've had a lot of, you're doing pretty well in GR Cup, but would you like to, make a move and, do like some of your other, competitors and teammates, maybe MX5 Cup, maybe do some IMSA, you know, just some other stuff, just trying to, continue. Because I think if you go into NASCAR, the road courses, obviously you're going to have a pretty good advantage because that's your wheelhouse. That's what you know so well. Ovals, that's, I never do any ovals in when I race. So that would be, that's kind of throwing me into the wolves right there. But, road courses, that's something me and you understand and know.
yeah, I mean, I would love to do like a IMSA or MX5, something like that. That would be awesome. Just to like get me, because my mom is like, okay, how much seat time can we get in? Like how much, like she's trying to get me in the seat as much as possible between tests and just whatever. I was gonna do the MX5 Cup race at CTMP, But my team owner or dean was like, it's too different from the GR Cup. Just you can go like because he was gonna be there like with the GT14,
Yeah.
and he's like, you can go, just go like just maybe you can meet some people, talk to people, whatnot.
Make it a
Just have a good
networking
weekend.
event. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't end up going. We have a lot of stuff to do at the house. We have 25 acres
Oh
of
wow.
property,
Yeah.
and we haven't been home for like 4 or 5 years, basically. Like we've been home, but we haven't been home.
Yeah.
Like this year is the first year where I've actually been home. I've actually been able to get a job. I've actually been able to do stuff that I want to do outside of racing.
Racing.
And so, I mean, we're focusing on just kind of making some improvements, just cleaning up around the house and stuff, just doing some productive things.
Yeah. And it's good that, in a championship where there's, there's gaps in between, you'll go to a race and then you got a little bit of a break, which gives you time to, you know, prepare for the next weekend, test and then, it's also live a normal life, because racing, it's a real high intensity sport because you're always on the go, whether it be another country, another state, it's always on the move.
Yeah, it's a commitment. It's a very
Exactly.
large commitment of your time, of your money, of your skill and talent, brain capacity, if you will. Like you're always like there's just something spinning in the back of your head. You're always thinking about something. You're always thinking about how can I get better? How can I improve on this? Um how can I make this better for me and how can I make myself better for the team? And just you're always thinking about something.
Nathan, I think this has been a great segment. You've got a lot of talent, and it was great getting to sit down with you and make this happen. I can't wait to see what, we got 3 rounds left. Road American, just what, about 40 days or so. I remember seeing you. It'll be here
Yeah.
before you know it. Then you
Oh,
go to,
for sure. I already know. We've got a test coming up pretty soon in about 2 weeks or so. So
then you got
we'll be we'll be hopefully we'll be dialed for Road America.
got Barber, and then, end the year out at Indianapolis. I mean, there's no cooler place to end the season out than Indianapolis.
Oh.
And
Like
just you just
you
think,
nailed everything.
yeah,
I
you
have
just
nothing to
think
add to
of
that. That is
you think
it
of
is
the
a
le
really awesome track.
you think of the legends that have, raced there and won there. So I think, that's really exciting. And I think next year's gonna be a good year for you. You got an exciting career ahead of you. You're young, and I think, this is gonna be start something cool. Would love to have you back at the end of the year. Maybe we'll do a, full recap of how this, your first season goes. And it was great getting. I hate that I didn't get over to see you during the Atlanta weekend. I was running around I had a lot of people in, McLaren and GT4 and stuff. So I was out with them though. But I made sure to, I sent your dad some pictures I got of you on track. I don't know if he showed them to you or not.
Yeah, yeah, I saw him. Yep.
Yeah, but I hope to see you back next year, and we'll be around at some of those races next year. I'm gonna make sure and be at some more of those SRO ones. That was my first time. I'm so used to IMSA, NASCAR, a lot of those type series, but I like the SRO because it's it's a little low key, but also I think the talent there is really impressive. Because
Oh,
I've
for
been
sure.
I've been to Road Atlanta a number of times for Petite Le Mans stuff, and it's elbow to elbow. There's so many people there, and then you come to SRO, it's there's so much you can really get some really cool stuff that you don't normally get, and but I think that was your I think that was one of your best weekends you've had this year, and
Oh, for sure.
I can't wait to see because Road America's it's in a little ways kind of like Road Atlanta, a lot of elevation and some really high speed corners. So
Hmm.
I think these next few races really don't build into your wheelhouse. Barber's the
Yeah,
same way. Indy's Indy's I would say a little more like some of the races earlier in the year. There's a
kind of
little
like Coda.
yeah
It's wide.
Indy's
It's really wide.
yeah, and Indy there's some at times it can be a little difficult to pass there. It's a lot of passing happens on the straightaways, and then you can make some passes into turns, but Indy is a, kind of odd one out of these last few races. I think Road Atlanta through Barber, they're I have a lot of similarities, so I think those are gonna really build into your wheelhouse, and I can't wait for it. I think it's gonna be it's gonna end out the season good, and we'll be sure to be on the lookout for it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to these next few races. Like you said earlier, the Road Atlanta was a great boost of confidence and momentum. So I'm looking forward to them.
We'll end it with this for people that haven't seen you yet. Want to shout out some of your socials? You want to shout out some of your socials for some people to keep up and follow your progress because I think we're gonna be hearing a lot about you here in the next few years.
Yeah, let me see. I know I have a main account and then I have my personal account. So Nathan Dupuis Motorsports is my official racing account, and then I have Nathan Dupuis dot outdoors. So that's my account. If you just want to reach out to me personally, or if you want to reach out to me via the more official account of Nathan Dupuis Motorsports, just feel free. Anybody who wants to reach out, I'll respond. We can talk and just, yeah,
Yeah, just that simple right there. Nathan,
yeah.
it's been great. I can't wait to see what happens. About 40 days and we'll be back on track and got some testing in between. It's gonna
Oh,
be
yeah.
let's end the season out on a good one. It's been a fun year this year.
Oh, it has. It has for sure.
Want to thank you a lot for coming on and can't wait to do this again. I think we got some cool stuff we can do. And next year I think we'll do some more cool stuff like that and hopefully see you around at some more of the races. We're gonna try and be at Barber maybe. That's one I'm looking at because that's only I live so I gotta go through Atlanta to get there. So that's only about a 5 hour ride from my house. That's not
Oh, that's not bad.
No, that's not too bad. That's about what it was to road Atlanta. Indy I want
Yeah.
to get to. That's a little bit that might be one I have to fly out to, but that's one that's on my list and
Yeah, we drove to Atlanta from Canada.
Canada.
So that's like a 10, 12 hour drive,
And
depending on traffic
yeah.
and weather and all that stuff. And so rest of the year we're driving everywhere because beginning of the year the weather was kind of cold and our bus we don't winterize it because it stays in a shop
Oh,
that's insulated and everything and it doesn't get below freezing in there. So we're like, we don't really need to take it out
yeah.
like to do anything because karting we were from like November all the way to May. We were in the US. We were in Florida. So we didn't need to winterize it. So
But it was a great segment, Nathan. I want to once again thank you for coming on and can't wait to see what, where it takes you next. I think there's some really you've got a bright future ahead of you. I think we're gonna be hearing a lot about you here in the next few years.
yeah, thank you. I enjoyed this segment as well. I thought
Absolutely.
it was very nice.
Absolutely. Let's do it again at the end of the season.
For sure.
Sure. I'll send you, I'll send you a message email and we'll get it going from there. But
Okay.
once again, want to thank everyone for watching and be sure to look out for Nathan Dupuis. This kid's got a bright future ahead of him and a great segment and want to thank him again.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.